Tipp Today, in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Delighted to be joined on the line now once again by bioenergy healer, the very well known Michael O'Doherty. Michael, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran.
And good to talk to you again. How are you getting on, Michael? How are things with you?
You're after upsetting us there when you started talking about the hurling there. You started talking about Tipperary and winning everything. You know, do you not have enough, Fran?
Listen, Linda is threatening me here on the messaging service, so there you go. Listen, you're going to talk to us about how we could focus on boosting the old immune system at this time, Michael.
Yeah, look, I suppose the problem for most people is trying to look after their health. That's the biggest challenge, given that the uncertainty around all of this. We talked about it before. But the real key, I think, to the immune system, Fran, is that there is more than just diet. The immune system is continuously responding to different things, primarily our environment, our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings. And if I suppose that if people could grasp this, that every time we have a thought or a feeling or a mood shift, that it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which is the chemical producing factory in the brain. And by producing those chemicals, it then secretes it back into the body. So if we were to take any fear or anxiety or worry or panic, and if we were to take those really as weapons, they are the most devastating weapons to our immune system, because they do send a signal to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces biochemistry pertaining to that, secretes it into the body, and those chemicals weaken the body, weaken the immune system. So it's absolutely essential that we find ways of dealing with the stress on a day-to-day basis in the sense of those fears and anxieties, because if you were to measure fear, worry, panic, and anxiety, if you were to measure the frequency of that, then you would see clearly that frequency that is produced in the energy system of the body can wreak havoc in the immune system. So it's absolutely essential that we understand that.
And we're being bombarded all the time with information. And in fact, if we allowed ourselves to be open to it, Michael, it will be 24/7. That's causing this sort of low-grade anxiety that's happening all of the time, isn't it?
Well, it is because, yesterday evening I was talking to Loretta Noon, who is a psychologist. I do some work with her, with clients, and we were just chatting about that. And she was just saying about how one of the medical scientists had come out and said that we're no longer it's no longer about the pandemic. We're now suffering from what's called infodemic, in a sense that it's an information overload. That we have people who are being bombarded through social media, through various types of news outlets and all of that. And suddenly we become addicted to hearing this kind of news. And all we're doing is we're tuning into bad news. So if we're tuning into bad news all the time, or tuning into figures, or tuning into statistics, and worrying about tests, and worrying about, all of this, we're not in control of that. So the key is to get away from that. And this is exactly what we were talking about yesterday evening, that, people need to get away from that. Yes, be informed, follow the guidelines, adhere to having apps running all the time in the background. It's going to drain the battery. So it's all this subconscious chatter that you're taking in. And what that does, that drains your energy. And no matter how much good food and no matter how much good supplements you take, if that's going on in the background in your subconscious mind, it's going to drain. So that information overload is not a good thing for your immune system.
So besides the obvious then, Michael, of not listening and watching as much of this stuff, what else can we do?
Yeah, so there's a few things that people can take, as I was just saying, Fran. Certainly food plays a major role, and I know that you had some people on before talking about the gut and that, because stress affects the gut function, because it produces high levels of acidity and it damages the microbes of the gut. So it's absolutely important that people eat smaller meals more often throughout the day, because that is much better for them. But there are a few supplements that people could take as well, particularly, given that this is a respiratory problem. So vitamin C combined with one very good supplement is N-acetylcysteine. Now, N-acetylcysteine, it's NAC. You can get it. Solgar does it, NAC, and it's 600. So N-acetylcysteine is a very powerful antioxidant, and if you combine that with vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, that can be very powerful to help with the respiratory system, because given that this is a respiratory issue, or certainly for most people it is, then certainly something that can help the respiratory system is what we need. Exercise, of course, on top of that can be very powerful. Getting the proper sleep is very powerful. Adding some zinc on top of that, vitamin D, all of these things can be really, really powerful. So the whole key to the immune system is getting the good sleep, finding ways to do a little bit of breathing and relaxation, getting out, doing some walks in nature, just keeping the heart rate up, keep, excreting that mucus that builds up in the system, particularly if people have any sinus issues or respiratory issues. But that N-acetyl cysteine combined with vitamin C is really, really powerful.
And can you take that even if you're well, Michael?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the thing with any supplements, Fran, is this, that, there are people out there who are taking certain types of medications, whether they be blood thinners or whatever, and sometimes they can't take certain supplements. So we need to put that little proviso there that people need to be aware that if they're going to take supplements, then certainly they can chat with their GP first or chat with their healthcare provider, whoever that is. But the key is certainly that if we can cut out mucus-forming foods like dairies, cheese, yogurts, that kind of stuff, particularly if we're prone to respiratory issues, then that would be very helpful. And as I said, taking that N-acetylcysteine with the vitamin C, with some zinc, these things can be very powerful with essential fatty acids. So if we can do that really, Fran, it can, that little combination can be really, really powerful, because there are lots of ways that we can influence our immune system, as we've just talked about. So just know that it's not just about diet, it's not just about supplements. What is the thought that you're having in your head now? Are you thinking negative? Are you worried about your parents, your sick child? All of that worry, all of that stress, if you don't bring that into the house. And if we can do that, it can be really, really powerful for people, Fran,
The immune system, as people grow older, I presume, are they more prone to infection and virus?
We all are. Now, the reason for that is 90% of the human being is made up of microbes. Okay? So our bodies have an ecosystem, and that ecosystem is called our microbial system. So it weighs about 5 kg, as I said, in the body. Now, as we grow older, we become more, I suppose, microbial rather than human. It's hard to say. People say, God, there's more microbes in me than there is human cells, and that's really what happens. So as we grow older, we become more microbial, which means we're more, and our immune system becomes weaker if we're taking medication, if we've had any surgery, and of course, this is what they call comorbidity in hospitals. So certainly, all that plays in to our ability to fight any kind of illness. But as I said to you, we can fight a lot of this more in our mind than we think, and if we can have the right positive attitude, then certainly can make a huge difference, Fran.
Absolutely. You're putting a lot of stuff up on the social media platforms, Michael. Will you tell us how we could watch that and get access to that?
Yeah, and on that point, we talk at the moment about people sort of disconnecting, and that we were so much on social media, Fran, and that, people weren't having time to sit down with families and all of that. And I suppose this is the one time where people are using social media, we hope, for a positive reason. So, it's important, again, for families listening to this that, kids aren't sitting down all day on social media being fed news that's not positive. It might just fill in their time, but it's not positive. So if they're going to go on social media, go on platforms that can help them to deal with simple ways to deal with their stress, with their anxiety, with good diet, and how to confront certain issues. So make it a positive thing rather than a negative thing. We're asking people to disconnect from it. So, look, I have my own Facebook page. It's called Michael O'Doherty, or Michael O'Doherty Healthcare. My website is michaelodoherty.com if people want to go on that. So regularly I'm putting up posts, sharing good posts from other people from Facebook and so on. So if people go on that, regularly I'm talking to people. And if anybody, Fran, has any issue and they want to private message me, free of charge, I'll chat to them and try and help them to cope with whatever situation. Because ultimately, this is really all about supporting each other. It's about community. And if we can get that support within our community and from each other, as you said earlier on, we will get through this. We will. This is a temporary situation. This is not a long-term problem. This is a temporary situation, and we just need a temporary solution, and we will resolve this.
All right. Chuck was on to us to pay tribute to you, and he said he knows a lot of people that you would have helped down through the years, and he's glad to hear you on the radio station today. I'm just wondering how you're coping yourself, because, I mean, you've been used to, for years, meeting people every single day, interacting with people. How are you coping with this?
Yeah, look, for me, I'm a very positive person. I just believe that we'll overcome anything, no matter what the situation is. So for me, what I'm doing is I get up in the morning and, get ready as if I'm going to work or doing whatever, keep the routine, have my breakfast, and get out. I'm writing some stuff. I'm doing some stuff on social media. But I also get out, and yesterday I was out power washing the paths, and then I was out, cutting the lawn, and I was, trimming trees. And so engaging in nature, feeding the birds, talking to some people on the phone who might, while our clinic isn't open, we're still running our business because we have to. There's so many people ringing in to get some treatment and so on. So, things are going on as normal. But yeah, my wife's mother is elderly, so we take time. She goes back to look after her and all of that. So look, the way it is that we get out and we chat to people as much as possible over the phone and just do the simple things in life. That's really the only way we can do it.
Very good. Well, listen, we're glad to have you on Tipp FM, Michael, and thanks for coming on with us today. Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Michael Doherty there, bioenergy healer.